Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to another edition of Musical Talk. I'm Thos and I've been thinking about musical theatre mashups, where you take a piece of musical theatre and connect it with something else in the world of the arts. So I was wondering what it might be like to see Ibsen's The Guys and Dolls House. Well, that already sounds like a parody, and parody is the pool in which we will be swimming today, because we're going to be talking about Stranger Sings, the Parody Musical. And of course it's parodying in musical form the smash hit television programme Stranger Things. And I say television programme, it's also spawned several stage plays. Here in London, it's barely been possible to walk on the Underground in the last year without seeing posters for various Stranger Things shows. And it really is a show that's caught the zeitgeist, even though it is in itself set in the 1980s. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I hadn't heard of Stranger Sings, the parody musical of Stranger Things, until I saw it in the programme of the things that could have been seen at last year's Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And I went with a certain amount of trepidation, because I don't watch the original television programme. But I needn't have worried, because it was a feast of music, performance and laughter. It was a terrific show. And so I can absolutely guarantee that even if you don't know Stranger Things, Stranger Sings is a great piece of musical theatre. And what's more, the person who wrote it, Jonathan Hogue, who wrote the book, music and the lyrics, really knows his musical theatre, because the show is cram-packed with musical parodies. Everything from Jule Styne's Gypsy all the way down to Joe Raposo and the World of the Muppets, with many, many more in between. And it's so outlandishly over the top in its writing and, I'm pleased to say, in performance in Edinburgh last year, that I was immediately delighted by it, and it's a show that I will be very happy to see again. And if it comes anywhere near me, I shall do so. So it is worth seeing. But what is the show about? Well, if you are like me and you don't really know, here was the blurb that was used in Edinburgh last year by the Dr. Phillips High School production. Take a trip back to Hawkins, Indiana in 1983, when times were simpler, hair was bigger, and unsupervised children were getting snatched by interdimensional creatures. Stranger Sings, the parody musical, is a hilarious, upside-down take on the hit Netflix series and all its campy 1980s glory. Join Mike, Eleven, Lucas, Dustin and the whole Hawkins gang for a night of adventure, thrills, pubescent angst, heavy synth, poor parenting, convoluted love triangles, cheap effects, dancing monsters and maybe, just maybe, justice for everyone's favourite missing ginger, Barb Holland. And it's basically Series 1 with a little bit of Series 2 in it as well. But that doesn't really matter, and it didn't matter to me because I don't know the series, as I said. But I do now know Stranger Sings, and I love it. And so, having enjoyed it enormously in Edinburgh, in a school production, Dr. Phillips High School, which is in Orlando and has a very dedicated theatrical focus, it's a very excellent creative and artistic venue that specialises in theatre, and that really came across in the performance in Edinburgh last year. So I had the great pleasure of sitting down with the director, the producer, and one of the cast from the Edinburgh production of Stranger Sings that you could have seen in Edinburgh in 2025. And this is that interview. I do hope you'll enjoy it. Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast.
I'm Jason Whitehead. I was the director of Stranger Things.
I'm Bianca Toledo, and I played Joyce Byers. And I'm Sarah Clark, and I'm the production manager and designer of Stranger Things.
Oh, I think we've got three very representative people of the entire show here. Now, let me lay my cards immediately on the table. Stranger Things, a parody musical, which is how it's advertised, is marvellous. It's a terrific show, and I loved it from the beginning, and I loved it to the end. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I think I told you on the night or the day I saw you. I've never actually seen Stranger Things, the television programme. So this show works in its own right. You don't have to have seen the television programme. I'm now subsequently aware from a friend I went to see it with that it was most of Series 1.
With a 1, 2 and a bit of 3.
Yeah, with a little bit of extra flavouring. Yeah, exactly. But it really works in its own right. It's coherent, it's tremendously funny, and it has an incredibly intelligent score. And I would like to talk about all of these things. But I suppose the first question, and I know it's going to be for all of you to answer collectively, is how did the show come to be? Your show, that is, not Stranger Things.
Yes.
We knew as an organization that we were headed to the Fringe this summer. So
who are you?
We are a high school in Orlando, Florida. We
Dr.
have
Phillips High School.
a theater magnet program, so students audition to come to our program and study. And this is our 7th time visiting the Fringe
Oh,
Festival.
fabulous. What have you been here with in the last few years? Do you mind me asking?
2022, we brought Moby Dick the musical. In 2018, we brought Avenue Q.
Oh, I might even have seen that.
And way back in 2010, when I was a student, I came on the trip and we took The Wiz.
Very good.
2006, Seussical.
Right. In 2001, when I came as a student, it was an original show. And then the program through which we attend the Fringe started in 95, and they brought Spoon River Anthology. So,
Oh, right.
So we traveled with the American High School Theater Festival.
Yes, who've been here for years.
Yes, 30
Yeah.
years, actually.
Yeah.
And we were one of the inaugural troops that came in 95.
I saw an earlier version of Moby Dick at a venue which was in a lovely theatre but well out of the city centre years ago. You had to go a very long way to get to there.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Quaint little show.
Well, I should also say, I once saw the American High School Theatre, one of the schools, did the Mikado by Gilbert and Sullivan, but the venue only had a piano. It was a one person on a piano, but the piano was very old. Several of the keys did not work, which gave Gilbert and Sullivan, and particularly Sullivan, a very discordant feel. It made it feel like it was Gilbert and Sullivan reinterpreted by Benjamin Britten, which was an experience I think everyone should have, but probably only once. So that's the background. So it's Orlando. It's part of a program, and it sounds like it's a program that's actually. It sounds marvellous, and I wish we had something like that over here.
I
Actually,
mean, the
it
two
sounds
of
terrific.
us graduated from there and now teach there, and she just graduated
I just
this year.
graduated.
I look forward to interviewing you in 5, 10, 20 years.
Oh
There.
yes,
Splendid.
of course. I'll be here.
So it's something you love, clearly. That's also,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And attending the Fringe as students as performers, it's something we want to give back. So we made the decision, it was probably January of 24, is it time to come back to the Fringe? And we knew we were. So then, of course, ultimately, what show are you going to pick? And Fringe has a certain energy to it. And, people aren't here to see Chekhov. They want to see something fun. So,
Unless it's performed by a drag queen.
there you go.
Of course.
How well you've identified it.
So trying to find the right energy, the right spirit in a piece, and Stranger Things was making the rounds, if you want to say.
Yeah, and I had an off-Broadway run a couple years ago.
Shortly after COVID, yeah.
The stage show.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's in London at the moment, I think.
Well,
so.
that's The First Shadow.
Oh, is it?
So not to be confused with the play, The First Shadow, which is truly like a prequel of the Stranger Things series. Whereas Stranger Sings was an off-Broadway parody musical that was written.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yes. Because we have First Shadow as well in New York.
There we are. So I didn't know any of this. I live in London, and so I see
Right.
Stranger Things on advertising hoardings
All
all
the
over the
time.
London
Yeah,
Underground.
yeah,
So I know it's on some way in some
Correct.
form.
So that is a play. It does
Yeah.
have some music, but it's a play with music, and it's a prequel that takes place in the 50s.
But it means it's current here in Britain.
yes.
That's
There you
so,
go.
So you're, I don't know if you knew that, but it's very you've picked a very good show in that sense because it's known and therefore it sells itself from its title. I
Well,
guess.
and the final series of the show is premiering this fall. So the trailer just dropped this summer for it.
Right, strike while the iron's hot. What's
Yeah.
going to have a built-in audience? Just the concept alone. Thinking about shows that we've seen in the past. Last summer we saw Drop Dead Gorgeous, and it was just one of those things.
Workshop,
that I
yeah.
know the title, and what do audiences want? So
We saw I Wish You Well, the Gwyneth Paltrow ski trial musical last year. And
Oh yes.
I mean, we were here in 2018 when Six was
Initiated?
in the Underbelly, yeah.
Oh, that's its second year.
Yes, he saw it the first year.
You saw it at the
First
Apex,
year.
did you, in the
Yeah.
grass market?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yes.
You're one of those people who saw it. Yes,
Yes.
I was there, but I couldn't fit it into my schedule, so I didn't see it in year one. I saw it in year two.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
there
I
you
saw.
are. Oh, to be able to say you were there.
Absolutely.
So you know you're coming, and Stranger Things has got this zeitgeisty thing going on at the moment, but that's very different from having a show.
Correct.
And it's very Fringe energy, the piece.
Yeah.
Like it's
Self-aware.
parody, it's self-aware, yeah. And I think of Fringe, I think of original new works, which I feel like as it should be.
And that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. But it's in order to get that name recognition, who's going to come see an American high school original piece about it's so hard to be a teenager in America
when you've got so many other great things,
right? When Rosie O'Donnell and Caroline Ray and Laura Benazzi are here this year and all that. So
and all human activity is here. But talking of high schools, this very morning I saw a stage version of High School Musical, which of course is now 20 years old.
Oh,
so
God,
now a nostalgic thing. Well, the demographic was really interesting. Because there were some children, but by far the majority of the audience they were 20s, 30s, and their grandparents, more my age, 50s and 60s,
who had to listen to it over and over as the kids played it.
Yeah,
I'm sure
but it goes in and it stays in, and it's actually surprisingly good.
Yes.
Although the lyrics obviously
are not.
When I'm bopping to the top, I don't need to be reminded. I don't need to be reminded of a mop just because I know it rhymes. But go on, get that in. So please, anyway.
So we like to pick a piece that we can license and bring to the show.
So was this a show that already existed? The parody.
Yes.
What?
You see, this is what I didn't know. Fine, forgive me. I thought it was perhaps a new written piece.
No.
But we did have to. It wasn't part of one of the big licensing houses yet, so
You had to track it down.
We did, and my first question when we were reaching out, probably last August, September.
About a year ago, yeah.
It had just had a UK tour, professional tour. So would rights be available in the UK?
Good point, yeah.
For the Fringe.
And
to cut.
Would you allow an amateur group to do it? And you talk with the licensor, oh my God, this sounds like an incredible opportunity, let's make this happen. So we knew as in August, September, before we had our full roster of students, that we had gotten the show.
That is marvelous. Also, it's nice to know that, isn't it? And actually, it's a terribly strange thing to say, but having had a nationwide tour a year before you arrived also plops that into the noggin.
Correct.
And so people think, I remember seeing that on some. You may be reaping the benefits of that. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
We did just finish 4 sold out shows.
But you did deserve it. I want to get on to your production is fabulous. So I will be saying this repeatedly. So how did you know about the piece? Or is it just so well known locally? The comedy.
It really isn't, but Jason is quite the musical theater encyclopedic knowledge.
An aficionado?
Very much so.
Yes.
As I wore
You're
my
my kind of people.
Yeah, he was wearing his Sondheim t-shirt climbing Arthur's seat this morning.
So But so again, tracking it down, who has the rights, what's available, and we were actually at Friends last year when we got the kind of the perusal script to read it. And then that's the first question: is this something we can do with our kids and travel it from Florida to?
That is a big ask, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because someone stupidly put the Atlantic in the way.
We read it. We decided this is the way to go, and kind of knowing the venue that we could possibly be in. That was kind of our first choice. And then the way the material's written, the self-awareness of it can be silly. It can be goofy. We don't need a 4-dimensional set. It can be cheesy and hokey and still achieve what the piece wants it to.
It's creating an atmosphere, isn't it? And I do want to talk about it actually in the room. But I'm always interested in the journey to get it into the room, and particularly, if you don't mind me saying, because you're not British based. You're not on these isles.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
We'd have you any time. No, seriously. I mean, also, I love the fact that everyone comes from everywhere for it, because you bring a richer flavour to it than would be the case. It's properly global and international, and that is very much to my benefit. Looking at it purely selfishly, I get to see world theatre. So thank you for bringing it over. You've done all the work. I just got on the train. It was very easy for me. So you've got your show, you know it's coming, it's a good fit for your group, and that is important, isn't it? Because actually, it's an ensemble piece.
Yep.
Ensemble pieces are gang shows, and a theatre group, I imagine, has personalities, and it has that kind of camaraderie, one hopes, rather than the rivalry we see in other musicals. Back to High School Musical. So it sounds like a good fit.
It totally was, and we were fortunate enough that we had almost twice as many. I mean, I think the show is written for 9 people.
Something around there.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
9 principals.
There's a lot
No,
of
no, it's all
okay.
doubled.
Oh, yeah,
Originally, Steve and Jonathan are the same.
Joyce and Will.
And Nancy and
11.
11.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of doubling within the piece originally. And so we figured the last 2 times we had brought students, we had about 15, 16, so it's okay, we'll split it up, we'll have one cast. It's 31 kids sign up. So we actually had 2 completely different casts.
Oh, you were doing it alternation, were you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the only one that was constant was Dustin, just because we
And Will,
had 31.
presumably. The puppet.
The puppet, yes, but different operators. So yeah, she had a counterpart.
Yes.
So what was your principal role?
Joyce Byers.
That's all right. Thank you. And which of how did you identify the teams? Were they 1 and 2 or A and B, or was
No,
it
it
something?
was
all mixed. So they
yes.
performed together. It wasn't even like cast 1, cast 2
We wanted them
to all interact with each other.
Exactly.
Now, that must be very good for your own personal theatrical development, isn't it?
Of
Because
course.
different energies of different performers in different performances by day with
Exactly.
different audiences as well. Because
Yes.
they always bring you an extra.
Correct.
Yeah. So I've got to go all over the houses, and it is a bit tangential. But how was that for you as a performer?
It was definitely a different experience. I mean, nothing that I was used to. I'm very glad that it happened because it kept me on my feet, and also I want to do this professionally and hopefully as my career. So I feel like it prepared me for, if I'm in a Broadway production, what would happen if I was working with a swing, or if I was a swing, you know what I mean?
And cast change?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
not
need
always
to-
at the same time. So.
Right. You need to be very familiar with the material and familiar with yourself and where you are, and just spatial awareness, and it's difficult when you're with people that you've never performed with. So I like that we were able to do that.
So may I ask you a technical acting question, which I don't, I'm not an actor. I don't have the answer to this. But speaking as an actor, then, presumably having different people in the cast on different days you're in it gives everyone just brings a different energy. Of course they do.
Yes.
And of course that must work towards keeping it in the moment and live for you rather than becoming rote. So it sounds like a challenge, but is it in fact actually a preferable option?
Oh, yes. I would 100% say that I actually prefer having a different cast.
I mean, it's
constantly.
expensive, but
Of course. But in this situation, I find that you're right. It's less of a disadvantage and more of an opportunity, because then it's just fun.
And it wasn't a rivalry type of
Exactly.
environment.
Oh, no,
no,
good.
not at
Yeah,
all.
which
not at
often,
all.
especially in high school theaters, she's better than
Can
me.
be.
Right, right.
And no, I mean, the 2 of them were shipping each other off for their openings, going on the bus
Yes.
with
Yes.
sending a kid off to school or something.
Exactly.
They were so proud of each other.
Even during the rehearsal process,
Yeah.
I find that I was very much admiring my double. What kind of choices would she make?
Shout out to Lily Bear.
Yes, Lily Bear. She was my double. It's fun. It's
how do
interesting.
you draw from that whilst at the same time making sure that you don't copy that? Because that sounds
Right.
to me quite an interesting technical challenge as well as an emotional challenge. Your emotional position is going to be just slightly different, even though the text is the same.
I think that connects with who your scene partner is, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. For example, Joyce, she often has scenes and moments with Hopper, and if it's a different actor each night, I think that the reaction is different.
And equally real, but different.
Yes,
Isn't it?
exactly.
That's the thing that's fascinating.
Right.
So do carry on.
Exactly. So if I'm watching Lily Bear react to, for example, one of the Hopper actors, Ian Solomon, I would make a mental note like, okay, that made her react in this way because he responded or he made a face, his the way that he portrays the character is much differently to his double Will. So I don't know, I like to think of inspiration from that, but also it's interesting how someone perceives a character and their perspective of how they're gonna talk, how are they gonna their inflection, you know what I mean?
I do know. Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by the technique of acting.
Yes.
Well, it's because it's magic to me. I don't have these skills.
Right.
I can declaim, but that's because I'm luckily pompous. Because being British, that comes quite naturally. But actually, performance and that interaction and that being in the moment rather than controlling the moment
Yes.
is something I admire. And when you see it done well, it's also marvellously invisible. you can't show you're working. It's invisible to an audience, and they have to buy the character or they don't buy the character.
Right.
So just hearing you talk about it, but I really like the fact that you see the challenge as a learning thing for your future career as well. We should just briefly say, you want obviously Broadway as a goal, but what sphere of acting? Because forgive me, people do make a distinction between musical theatre acting and acting, as though that were a thing.
Right.
Yes, it's all on a spectrum.
She'll be going to university to major in musical theatre.
Yes, I'll be majoring in musical theatre.
I can't disagree with the choice, but
I really thoroughly enjoyed musical theatre, and I think that's the path that I want to take. I do enjoy many parts of theatre, and I think the program I was in at Dr. Phillips allowed me to appreciate many different aspects. So I find that I'm well equipped.
She was a stage manager.
Yes.
She was our company manager.
So you get the 360-degree kind of experience of theatre, which is so important as well, for mutual respect, if nothing else.
Very, very. But I find that musical theatre has truly, I've been drawn to it.
Right, why? Because why? It seems self-evident to me, but it's a good question to ask, because actually people don't always delineate their thinking. And I may ask the question to guest number 1 and guest number 3, if I may say, if this was blind date, or I don't know what the program's called in America, but same questions as number 2, please.
Right.
I think it's more than just singing and acting. I think that it's beautiful in the way that you add dance to it. You add so many elements that just acting, it doesn't.
It's acting plus.
Right, it's acting plus, and I think that's what I love about it. I mean, I love to sing and I love music and everything, so I think it's just, that's why I love it so much,
And I suppose when you've got all those different axes, should we say, that you've actually, it's like a mixing desk in that sense. Actually, you've got more fader switches you've got to control emotionally and intellectually and technically.
Right. That's the balance, absolutely.
Very. When do you sing that lyric versus speak the lyric?
Versus, for Joyce, shout that lyric.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and the beauty of Stranger Sings too is it's an acting piece first.
Right.
Yes,
you have to know. I feel like all musical theatre should be.
No, I'm with you.
But you have to know: are you the setup, or are you the punchline? And you don't mug when you shouldn't. If you're laughing at yourself, then the audience can't for you. And so understanding that part of it, and it's not a score that it doesn't have to sound pretty. It doesn't. All the notes don't have to be perfect,
correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Even the dancing, it's funny if
one of the 12-year-old kids is on the wrong foot.
Right, and lean into that, right?
And that does happen.
Yeah, or then it's funny when that same character then busts out into this big ballad or something, and so the piece itself.
I think it gave boundaries, as you were saying, of here are moments, especially with each night or each opposite actor. Here are the boundaries that I can play with, but then here are the marks I've got to hit just to propel the story forward.
Exactly.
That maintains the consistency.
At the end of the day, there is a plot line that we all collectively agree upon, and it's just how are we going to play around with the comedy of it.
And even as basic as you have to make sure you land here.
Exactly.
In this
retain the cohesion and narrative drive, because if you lose the narrative, you haven't got anything.
Right.
And there's so many shows, and we could probably all name hundreds, that are marvellous musically and marvellous to look at and have the best lighting in the world. But don't make
do anything.
sense.
Right.
Or don't do anything. Yes, that's another bugbear. I'm no further on than at the beginning.
Right.
Exactly.
But I'm an hour older.
Well, or those musicals that, you have those songs that just don't propel the plot.
Yes.
And this show weirdly does have those moments of all right, we're going, and it actually is continuing story, which I feel like a lot of contemporary shows just want another anthem, another,
And anthems,
earworm.
I'm so glad you mentioned them. I was actually having this conversation off the record with someone the other day. Anthems are really difficult to stage because they're almost conceptual,
Right.
and they're also valedictory in so many ways. And I've seen many shows where people stuff them full of anthems.
Correct.
Particularly if they're doing a show much more about concepts, funny enough. I was talking specifically about the suffrage movement. There's a lot of musicals about that, and why not? It's a perfectly reasonable thing. But if you're taking anything from history, something that's a concept, actually the danger is, what do? You turn it into Titanic, or you put fake characters at the front, or do you take a real character from history who might not have the story arc that quite works, or you have to cover things up or change them.
Fudge some things,
or you just talk about the concept, which is actually quite abstract and quite difficult. And I've seen all three for suffragette musicals, and the problem with the purely conceptual one is, every now and then you find you always just get an anthem after an anthem after an anthem, and the third one stops being quite so
Correct.
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the structure of how a piece is written. Should we talk about the score of this show?
Sure.
I want to get back to all of these things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, forgive me, you're already fascinating me. Well, you fascinated me from the beginning, actually. But the score, I thought, was masterful because, it does the things it needs to do to carry the narrative. So it's also character-driven, and yet it's a smorgasbord of opportunities to pick out musical theatre motifs, ideas.
And the 80s references and all of that, yeah.
Immediately, Joe Raposo, the Rainbow Connection from the Muppety song, let's call it.
Yes.
The moment that banjo started playing, I was on the floor. I love that. And then, of course, you've got Jule Styne and the Gypsy moment,
Yep.
Rose's turn, and there's an element
I
of
mean,
that. It's
all
even
of
referenced.
Barb's Turn is the name of the song.
Yeah, there are clues.
Right, but all of that whole number, it starts with Mean Girls.
Correct.
It has a little Wicked moment.
Yes.
Correct.
It
Ends with Gypsy.
It ends with
And then
Gypsy.
I found the ending, I Am the Stranger Thing, her Dreamgirls moment.
Right.
That's the final end.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's infused all the way through, and I suspect it's generational as well, because someone of my extreme old age was able to get a lot out of it, and people who were younger, I was
I'm
going
going to
with
find the
them.
newer reference.
well,
Absolutely.
that was a TikTok trend like a year ago.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
It was.
And
Oh, that's
so,
handy.
right? So the
Yes.
kids are like, we know Gypsy now, and it's like,
Well,
Yeah, you don't know it.
no, not actually.
like Annie's bigger than Hard Knock Life.
Exactly,
Yeah, quite.
exactly.
Well, even the scene changed before the song "In These Woods" are 4 bars of "Into the Woods."
Yes.
I had to point it out to the children. Oh my God! I was like,
we get the
the
Xanadu
music
moments
is
and
telling
that,
you
yeah.
everything you need right there.
Exactly.
It's very clever, very deliberate in that way. So it can check that box for those musical theater fans who came to see a musical. And then if you don't know anything about musicals, you're just having a good time listening to some dumb songs.
The friend I was with, who's my age, so in his 50s, is a fan of musical theatre, but not a fan of musical theatre, if you want to make that distinction. And so he loves what he sees, and he enjoyed the show immensely. He's also a fan of Stranger Things, so he was getting different things out of it than I was. But he wasn't particularly picking up the musical references. Just a quick route across the table then. What's your favourite musical lucky dip moment for you? What's the one that, when you heard it the first time, you thought, oh, I love that bit. I'm glad they put that in.
In the show,
Yeah. I think it will tell me something about each of you.
I love the key change moment in Barb's Turn.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
just, who wrote this music? I didn't warm up. Yeah, just all
Right.
of that.
Oof. I really like the Xanadu
Yeah,
reference.
the Xanadu reference.
That one's really nice.
believe it or not, in the orchestration to Stranger, the Mike Levin duet when they're flying away in E.T.,
Yeah.
Yes.
the brass starts to play Take On Me, and it's just for like 8 bars. And you don't hear it because they're singing, but just, again, let's throw something to just reestablish the decade and the energy, and subconsciously you might hear it, but it's clever. You made it work with an original tune, and you fold that layer on top.
Well, it is full of all those 80s references because obviously the series is set in the 80s. And so, yes, you can actually build an atmosphere even if you're not necessarily being overt about it.
Oh, and
Sometimes,
even the synthy quality of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Choice of
opening.
instruments.
I do
Yeah.
remember my youth, yes.
Immediately, you know what time we're in without the Hawkins 1983 or any of that.
Oh, yeah, you
kind
don't
of-
have to do anything heavy at all.
No,
Right.
no.
That's fine.
The piece does a lot of the work itself, and ingenious writing in that regard. Because, as I said in rehearsal every day, comedy is hard. Comedy is
Oh, yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
and let the piece do the heavy lifting.
Because it's built in.
Correct.
It absolutely is, yes. Quite. You mentioned the word mugging, and I think there's a real danger with people
Yeah.
when it's any kind of comic, whether it's a comic or a performance which is comic. It's so easy to mug the joke because you want to take the glory for the joke in a way. It's a very natural thing.
Correct.
We all want to be funny. Well, many of us do.
Oh, right, don't commentate on the joke.
Yeah,
Let the
yeah.
joke land,
Yeah.
so you get the payoff with the audience, and so you're not making it self-entertainment at that point.
Even just psychologically, I don't want to get too poncy here, although it is a natural form. Sometimes, what is a punchline? A punchline is the rug pull. It's a sudden realization that what you're expecting isn't what you're getting, and you're getting something else. And there's that double take intellectually of getting it, that thinking moment, done in a flash. And if you mug it, you're signalling to somebody that moment that their realization is being signaled to them, and that works against what you're trying to do.
Well, in this piece too, a lot of the punchlines are that E.T. music playing or some kind of visual.
The
So-
wicked moment at the end of
right,
Act 1.
like it might not even be something that an actor per se is doing. Like it's on their line, so it's, you got to tee it up for that light change or whatever, because then that's going to get the laugh.
This is the technical element of acting and performance, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
teeing up is a lovely way of putting it. I like that a very great deal because and also, I'm not a golfer, but I do know that it's very easy to tee up and then completely miss the shot.
Absolutely.
So it's not finished then, is it? But you can't do it without it.
I mean, you want to talk about rhythm, more the rhythm, tricky rhythms in a few of the songs, but the rhythm was in the spoken dialogue.
Yeah.
And just
Definitely.
finding that tempo of the show.
Well, it's in everything, isn't it? It's in the songs, it's in the dialogue, and therefore the profile of the show has to have a rhythm.
Sure, so then, when we're figuring out what the lights are going to look like, because I ran the board just manually, rather than set the cues and all with Fringe.
Therefore humanly,
Right.
and therefore organically. I'm
Absolutely.
with you.
So
Well done.
sometimes, I mean, today, even on our last show, we have a couple more shows when we get home. But just, I was like, anytime Eleven uses her powers, I just started
Wobbling it
with-
about.
Yeah, I started it a little bit yesterday, and I was like, I should do it every time today. And so it's still kind of evolving. But it's, just because we have all these LEDs and colors, and so when do we use it, when don't we?
And the absence can sometimes be as strong as the
Absolutely,
use.
right. And so it's like, okay, when we're in that musical moment, let's take out the color. Or, okay, we're in the dark, so yes, I'm still going to bring up the wash, but let me put some more blue on it. So it kind of, so some of that too, of just setting the space, but also kind of setting up for some of those punchlines of just like, all right, doing that so that I hit that green right at the end of that Act
Right.
1 Wicked riff moment. And so yeah, I think the lighting is in the same fashion to the pace of the show, contributed to that in a way where normally you have those set changes or that automation and stuff, which we don't have in the Fringe or in the Space and all that,
But it brings you different benefits.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no wrong. Well, there are plenty of wrong ways of doing it, but there are lots of non-wrong ways of doing it. But actually, if you're taking a legitimate one and making it work, then it's working.
Right.
I just want to come back to you briefly because you, if you don't mind me saying, when we were talking, you mentioned rhythm, and you went yes.
Oh,
and
yes.
there was a moment of revelation in your, would you care to share?
Of course.
And then I also want to talk about the rhythm in direction. Because, all these things, they all connect, but please,
I think
as a performer.
from what Mr. Whitehead has said, I think it goes hand in hand with what we've been taught. I mean, it kind of brings up when we read A Doll's House Part 2, and just the dialogue, the back and forth of it, the
Conversation.
yeah, the conversational style of it, I felt like I
That
drew a lot of
extemporaneous.
exactly. I felt I needed to pull that into this kind of show because the funny musical parts of the show happen right after the dialogue finishes. For example, like when the first scene with Hopper, it's quick, and then when Joyce says, "Do you even know what it's like to lose a child?" Immediately, lights
Sets up
change.
the-
Set it up
Exactly.
for the laugh. Yeah.
And if it's drawn
And
out,
the undercut.
Yeah.
yes,
so
exactly.
good.
If it's drawn out and if it's dramatized, I think
Theatricalized.
theatricalized. I think it takes away from the joke. It has to be normal because at the same time, your audience, you want them to believe it, while the physicality may be big and dumb. It's real to the character.
Yeah, they're humans. They
Exactly.
all have a real human experience, whether
Right.
it's silly or
Well, they also all have
outlandish.
a performance from the TV show that they can then capitalize upon. I mean, let's
of course.
turn Winona Ryder's eccentricities up to 100.
Exactly.
And
If that hasn't already happened.
right, it can go any higher.
And a normal cadence in a conversation isn't slow.
Right, it's still not an
quick.
impression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's also, if you don't mind me saying that, truthfulness, let's be honest, being human, that keeps the audience engaged because we
Yes.
as an audience we use our own humanity and empathy to experience what we're seeing and interpret it ourselves. And actually that's always much harder to do if everything's being signalled, or worse yet, there's a narrator. It's my personal bugbear in any show. I mean, it's all right in Into the Woods. We've
Yes.
mentioned Into the Woods, but, it's used and subverted. So, but usually, the moment you get a narrator character, it's tell, not show, rather than show, not tell.
Exactly.
And actually, what we're talking here is performance, which is it's showing in its fullest sense, not just visually, but in all the cues which we pick up in day-to-day conversation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I talk about rhythm in direction?
Absolutely.
Because obviously you've got to pull everything together as the director. Director is God. I know you should never tell a director that. I know,
Sure.
but
We like to tell our students that.
but you're the overall executive almost, if you like. You've got a hands-on in terms of direction, but you've also got to make sure the musical director is with you. And
he was the music
I'm
director
well
and
the
the
same.
choreographer.
Oh, you!
Yeah.
My God, the triple threat.
Yeah.
Threats probably a great deal more. But forgive me. I mean, it was beautiful. And,
Sure.
and the rhythm and the pace was so good. Now I
Sure.
know I want to talk about the rhythm we were talking about. Forgive me. I will let you talk in a minute. I'm sorry. I will talk too much. But of course, you've also got the added thing of the Edinburgh slot, which is strict, and you must be out
Correct.
by X o'clock or you will be executed.
Correct.
So you've also, but that builds pace, but it also can destroy breathing. So, yes.
Yeah, the genius of the piece is kind of anything goes during any of the dialogue, any of the lyrics. You can be as silly, you can be as stupid as you want. So the first thing is finding those moments, because I've been in those audiences where everything is so funny all the time that you're now missing moments. The audience is reacting to something they shouldn't be reacting to, or you've pulled us out of the world of the play because you make a topical reference, so forth.
Oh,
So
Brechtian dissonance.
correct.
Let's go for it.
Full breath.
But where are the moments that, like, the situation can be funny, but the emotion is real, or like the Xanadu song is such a throwaway piece. So like, you turn up the dials, go for it. Anything goes in that song, but then at the end of the song, we got to bring it back for plot reasons. So finding that this is the moment, and there were times in rehearsals like, here's your free will time, but then here's where we got to get back on the train and go forward.
A jumping on point again, isn't
Correct.
it? For the audience too, because who will have also been enjoying the song, but
They also
must-
need a breathing moment as well.
Yeah.
And what are those moments in a show
Punctuation
that
of it,
is
isn't
silly? Yeah.
So I mean, this is genuinely interesting.
So finding those moments, and then again, like you said, the threat of having those lights turned on and us being in the middle of the final number. So there were some edits that had to take place to trim our show down within our time allotment, as well as making sure we hit the main points. There were some jokes in the script that, not mug, but are repeated again and again, and we've done
Become
it one and done.
superfluous potentially,
So
yes, quite.
we got the point. Let's move on and keep it, because ultimately the crux of the show is a boy's missing. We always have a stake to work for. We always have a goal to find. So even in our silly
jeopardy.
offshoots,
Yeah.
how do we come back to the
That
conflict
core.
at hand?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of that fringe time slot, in Florida we have the Florida State Thespian Festival, and so we have a district competition as well as it moves on to the state, and part of that is a 40-minute one act. And so you have to fit your set in
to
a
be 40
6
minutes.
by 9 foot box, and you have 40 minutes to take that set out of the box, do the show, put it back in.
Oh, it includes striking time.
Correct.
Ah, yeah.
And so we're very well in hand of, okay, we have 20 people backstage that, like, I move the lamp, I am the lamp, I'm one with the lamp, and that's the only thing I have to worry about. And so
I am the genie of this lab.
basically,
Yes.
Exactly.
and that's my one. So in terms of tracking and stuff, a lot of our students have had experience with that, and so yes, we got the show down to time, and so then that last week before we left was, let's practice our setup and strike. What everything goes where. Like, we didn't store all of those props in the space. Everyone's got their carry-on,
Yeah.
and so we just pack it up. We had just brown paper with our props tables that we just would tape out in the back, and so all of that. I mean, also benefit
Yeah.
of us being in that space before. Both of our two shows prior have been in 45.
Which is in Jeffrey Street, opposite the station entrance for next year's show, which you put on. I just want people to know,
Yes.
if you're back in there,
Yes.
that's how to find it.
Yes, please. Always check out Venue 45.
It's the very first venue I saw an Edinburgh show in 2007. My
Really?
very first year
That's
in
great.
Edinburgh, so it always helps.
I love that it's such a
I have
low
a great-
number.
yeah.
Well, it's a low number when it's an old space that's been used a lot. And so we practice that, load in, load out. And so there are other schools, especially that are part of the program, that they just say, oh, we have a show. And then they freak out when it's, oh, I only have 10 minutes to set up, where we were in and out in 3, while also still not rushing or anything like that. Right? Like there's
Less
also,
haste, more speed.
Yep, there's always a pacing even to that pre and post show routine.
Yes.
It's choreographed in a way.
Yes,
100%.
completely.
And so, like, he's done with the show, then it's, all right, give me that manifest, let's figure out the puzzle of where everything goes and who's responsible for what.
Yes, you have 360-degree brains, I always think.
Oh,
people.
100%. That's
Genius.
where I thrive. Yeah. But no, I mean, that's the one act is always kind of what I do as well in terms of let's figure out how do you condense a set in there and tell a story where, you know, instead of going like Fringe where we just have some props and costumes, our school really does like to, how do we put these flats and these things and in
it
a
makes you
box.
creative as well, innovative as well, doesn't it?
Yes,
Because
it's
actually,
the
if we do
best.
this, we could probably double it up by doing, you know, just by this twist
And you
here,
flip it
it's now
around.
a different set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
It's
what
amazing what
other
tinsel can
things.
do.
Well, and just to the point of like, okay, how do we create the upside down with something other than lights? Pool noodles and some LED lights with gaff taped together,
Yeah.
very obviously, with some branches wrapped around, you know, that were left over. None of that we actually, I mean, the pool noodles we bought, but like everything else we had just had left over from other shows and things. So it's
Yeah,
fun to do
reusable.
those.
Yeah, it's recycling in theatre. I mean,
Exactly,
it's
exactly.
green attitudes everywhere.
Oh, yes.
So, getting back to the pacing issue, not just of the show, but actually of the slot, there is a danger sometimes when particularly when you've got a funny show, that the audience love it so much, they applaud a lot,
So
they
you've got
clap
to
a lot.
cushion that time.
Yeah,
into
how
it.
do you control the audience? Because I had this conversation with another writer-director a couple of years ago, and he said he had just, they could only, they boiled it down to the least, you know, the least time they could make it, but they had a really tight turnaround, so he told his actors, go through the applause for the songs. It wasn't a comedy.
Correct.
It was a musicalisation of Macbeth, as it happens. So not a comedy.
What people are clamoring for.
But it's popular up here, and it's out of copyright, so no fees. So, but it was a great show. It was a genuinely great show. It's called Vote Macbeth. But they powerhouse through it because they could do no other.
It's got a stamp on all that.
Yeah. So
Some
how
of
do you
the
do that?
songs or some of the jokes had the clear buttons to them, and
What does button mean here in this?
just kind of like a final ending,
Oh,
clear,
yeah.
delineated, like
Yeah. Da 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 da. da. And it's not
Correct.
as
Laugh.
blunt as that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
quite.
Basically,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
the audience. I know that's finished.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
So there were certain moments that yes, this is the theatricalized pose button. Even with a joke or a line, you make that look, that gesture.
Yeah.
But then, even when we started doing some runs in Orlando beforehand, these people are laughing, these people aren't. So the skill for the kids is finding, is this the moment to go on? But then also knowing, listen, you're all great, you deserve
Well,
applause.
and-
If you
and-
don't
Yeah.
get applaud here, go. That's fine. That's fine.
And how different it is having an audience from home where it's a bunch of their friends and family who are only laughing because it's Bianca in that part, and that's funny.
I'm
that
sure
she
that's not
just did
true,
that.
but I know what you mean. Yes,
Well,
kind of.
yeah, but
but
it's funny to people because they know her,
Yeah.
as opposed to the majority of our
Character.
audiences here, including our high school, cohort audiences. They don't know our students. They don't know, so they're laughing at the material or the performance, which is great. And so there were different laughs in different places, and as a performer, that has to be interesting.
Oh, I loved it. I actually prefer that more
Yeah.
than
Then
the
your friends screaming at
home.
all of them.
Yes.
Well, it's earned, isn't it, in a way? I mean, of course it's
Yes.
earned even with your family and friends,
Exactly.
but to have complete strangers enjoy and appreciate your work is what it's all about,
It,
surely.
it kind of put not like a validation, but it just
Doesn't hurt
in my
though, does it?
brain it's like, okay, this was funny. Or
Okay,
this,
I did that right.
This worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
My
exactly.
choices were right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Trusting the material. I mean, Will's first entrance when you see as a puppet, people are going to laugh and they're going to miss the next two lines. Well, are those lines throwaway lines? Yeah, they're just talking about the D&D game, so you can get away with those. The first time you see the Demogorgon and then busts out in Thriller, there's no words,
Yes.
there's no lyrics. You
Another
can just
80s
laugh your way
reference,
through it.
Yes.
And what I found interesting is the people who would laugh at the cigarettes in your hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
When she had
The
a
5 or
fistful
so.
of
Yeah,
cigarettes.
yeah, okay.
And obviously, depending on where you are in the space, you catch it
You
at
get
different
the laugh in
Yeah.
different
Exactly.
moments.
Oh, it travels from
Yeah.
the room. Yes,
Yes.
yes, because it's a proper surround kind of thing there, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
apart it's what's apron, is it? Because it's on three
It's
sides.
three-quarter thrust.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's better. Thank you. Yeah. There speaks the producer.
what you can chuckle under your breath and not miss the point because she's being crazy in that scene. And if I miss a word, if I miss a line, it's allowable. Versus no, everyone has to freeze. You got to stop there. Stop with the mugging. Stop with the whatever.
Right.
Because this has to be communicated to get to
Right,
the
well,
next point.
we need to hear her first Winona because that's
Yeah.
so not what anyone's expecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then there's and that teases you for the rest of all of those characters coming out too, and so it kind of sets you off on that journey.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think having an earned laugh that isn't from people you know.
It's much better.
So
than-
gratifying.
Oh yes. Completely.
Can I ask, this is my ignorance, and it's probably a generational thing as well. So there were 4 characters who came out to represent Winona Ryder's previous career.
Yeah.
I recognise Beetlejuice.
Yep. Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, those lovely cardboard hands that he's got. They're gorgeous. But I didn't recognise the other two, actually.
Heather Chandler from Heathers.
Oh, right, thank you.
And then Amy March from
Little Women.
Ah, you see, I haven't seen that. So when
She
she came and
did-
talked
she
about the
did
limes...
The, 94
I think.
movie with Daniel... no, wait. I don't remember who, because I'm getting that confused with Crucible. She also had Crucible to continue this, but yeah.
One of her earliest.
Yeah.
correct.
She
But-
played Joe.
Yeah. I mean, she was wearing what I think of as
She had
a
the little
mole's
bonnet.
cap kind of thing.
Yeah.
An 18th century or 19th century kind of clothes. I could tell it was a historic piece.
Sure.
Yes.
And when she came out and spoke about limes, I realised. But what I didn't know was what that's from. So thank you.
Yeah.
You've
Civil
educated
War
me.
era, Little Women.
Oh, well done.
Yep.
Very good. But it's also lovely that the references don't necessarily matter. That the audience is always going to have different spheres of experience.
Well,
and
and I'm thinking to
understand.
that show that you came to in the morning, the Heather Chandler got a bit. Normally, Beetlejuice and Edward
Yeah.
Scissorhands will get the laughs. Heather Chandler got a big laugh because all these high school kids knew the
Yeah.
musical Heathers.
If you want to see,
And-
you go to Edinburgh
and-
for theatre, don't you? Or you can do, yeah.
Yeah, and
The
so
stagey people.
that one got the biggest reaction that
We
day.
had a few chuckles today. The kids are teasing me. As soon as Amy does her little circle around, you heard the 2 or 3 people that are just like,
Yes,
Little Women,
Little
I get
Women.
it. Yes.
But that's wonderful, isn't it?
In a piece like this, you can appeal to all of the audience members and their
Yes.
points of
Oh, sure.
familiarity.
A couple days ago, we were seeing Flop.
With Arthur Hull.
Yes.
From Australia.
And he starts busting out a song from Moby Dick.
He
and
does.
We were with another graduate of ours, and the three of us were like, "Yes, deep cut, Moby Dick." We were the only ones in the audience that knew anything about what that was.
Well,
so
Flop is where he takes the best songs from the shows which
From
have
the
been
worst
deemed,
shows.
which have been proper bona fide copper bottom failures. Yes.
Yes.
even though the Diana, but you're talking to a couple people that are absolutely obsessed with Diana the musical.
3 of us, actually.
Yeah, all three.
We love it.
It has a reputation over here, but not an altogether good one. And it's
Oh,
not
I think that's
necessarily
kind
because
of
of the
why we love
context
it.
that it finds itself in Britain.
Oh,
It
sure.
is just because of what it is.
Oh,
Yes.
it's objectively terrible
Yes.
and so deliciously
But it was
bad.
so earnest and it's
Yeah.
a challenge.
Has it still got? Because I heard a version of it years ago. Has it still got the flirtatious Queen song in it?
Yes.
Yes. So wrong.
Utterly ridiculous. But no, a lot of those, and so that understanding, being that one person in the audience that gets that one reference, we do it for them.
Well, this brings me on to what I think is a really interesting question, because this has been performed by you back in Orlando.
Yep, we did 2 shows before we left, and then 2
Two
when
more
we
to
come
come.
back.
Yeah. So you're sandwiching it. Marvelous.
Basically.
So I appreciate it's a fairly small number of performances back home.
It costs money.
But here's the question. Do you spot a difference in an Edinburgh audience, which will be international to a degree, but of course is going to be still predominantly Scottish or British, because most of the people here are from the Isles because it's easier to get to. Do you spot differences? Do you find there are references which you get that the public, the British don't get?
Part
or
of the deal with
the
American High
audience?
School Theatre Festival is to have built-in audiences. Another school is always scheduled to come see your show, just so then you don't have an empty house. So I will say there's always that section of American kids that are in there.
Who can lead the way?
Right. But I think the biggest shock was when we brought Avenue Q in 2018, and we'd sold out all the shows before we even started, not realizing how huge of a title that was in the UK.
Yeah,
People were stopping us. I mean, kids had their puppets out of their backpacks and stuff like that, and what you guys are doing Avenue Q? Where? What? And we just were kind of taken aback by how much you guys love Avenue Q.
We do. It's very popular.
And that was interesting too. And then even Moby Dick being a native UK title, I think there was more people here knew the piece.
Well, I've seen it because the American high schoolers. I've seen an American high school version of it years ago.
But yeah, it started in London in '92.
It did indeed. Yes, thank you for that.
Yep, and so we got people that were like, "Oh my gosh, I hadn't heard this score in so long," and so that was interesting.
It still has a bit of a legendary status, of course. Yeah, I mean, as flops often do. I mean, forgive me. There's a 1960s one which people still talk about here called Twang, which was Lionel Barr, who's Oliver. And he was high on LSD when he was writing. He was out of his tiny mind, I'm sorry to say, and it was also financially out of his tiny mind because he sunk his own fortune into it, and of course it flopped and was closed within a couple of days. And it's still considered to be one of the almighty British musical flopperoos. It's the Robin Hood story.
Sure.
With twang being the sound of the bow, I think. And there's still an argument as to how many exclamation marks it has, because you can find none, 1 and 2.
Oh.
Because, pay your money, take your choice.
But no, in terms of an Edinburgh audience, I think people who are coming to the Fringe because they're so used to hearing things for the first time, seeing new works, they're
Experimental.
listening. Where I think a lot of American audiences are lazy audiences. They want to just jump to the next song that they know, right? Like that's why we've had so many jukebox musicals and IPs.
Well,
we're
not
turned into
immune
musicals.
from that over here.
Oh, sure, but in terms of like really listening to
An
a
attentive
joke or
audience,
like they're very attentive. Like today, after the show, the kids were like, "It was such a dead audience." It's like, no, they were actually listening to you. Like they were thoroughly enjoying it. They just weren't cackling over your lines and stuff because they were wanting to hear the next thing you said.
It's really interesting because I'd like to hear what you think on that as well. But something I've noticed about British audiences, of which I am so often one, is that you need, particularly for a comedy, you need to give the British audience license to laugh very early on. You need to do something so overtly funny, or so you have to tell them, look, this is comedy, come in, and they'll start laughing with you. Otherwise, they will enjoy it, but they will do it in a kind of sort of, I'm absorbing everything you do,
Right.
Yeah.
and I will let you know at the end that I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
And you can get both those kind of British audiences, but it can be discombobulating if you're not aware of how that reaction's likely to
Sure.
come across.
Yeah, it was just, the kids were the ones that were like, "Oh my gosh, that!" I mean, we were sitting in the booth, and so we were still getting like kind of the
Audience
energy of
atmosphere,
everyone,
yeah.
right? But
Point
from
of
them, because they weren't having that auditory kind of
It's not being
Tangible
pushed towards the
reaction.
auditorium. is it? Yeah,
yes,
it's kind
and it was like, no, like I think that's also a good testament of keep powering through, even if you're not getting the most verbal audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They still can be enjoying it in a different way.
yeah. And it does not mean dislike.
No,
Dislikes
no.
when the door keeps opening
Right.
and closing.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly in Edinburgh, where there's actually, funny enough, you wouldn't do that so much in the West End, but people do feel, well, actually, if I haven't enjoyed this halfway through, I'll leave. So as long as you don't hear the seats going up or the doors closing, you're fine.
I think the universality of Stranger Things also gave
It's
the
such a
rules
big
to
IP.
the audience
Yeah.
almost. That,
Right.
and I mean, we told you the parody musical. You know
It's
right
in
away.
the title, isn't it?
The first scene, you're going to hear your familiar music, and then the scientist does a body roll after the death. Like,
Yeah.
here you go. This is what you're about to see, and
And the wig should be a giveaway as well. couldn't I
Yeah.
just say?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
a magnificent haircut.
that's right. This is what you're seeing, as good or as bad as it is.
The
But
camp
that
of it
adds
all.
to the charm of it, and,
does.
and almost kind of the visual vocabulary of this piece, and allowing yourself to, especially from an actor's point of view, allowing yourself to do something out of
Uncomfortable.
out of
Yes.
comfort for you, because it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
You
It
don't have to
doesn't
look
matter.
cute. You don't have to look pretty. It's not for the gram, right? Like, and being silly, goofy.
I enjoyed our space in 45 because from the booth I'm able to see a good chunk of the audience, and you can see them absorbing. You can see them glancing
Yeah.
to check something out or
The
tell
back
their
row
scene
standing up
partner.
to try to see when they're on the floor.
Oh yeah.
And-
Engagement, that is.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct. And that, I think, also supports the notion of this is the world that we're doing, and join. It's very inviting, I think, in that
Well,
regard.
what I love about a Fringe audience is no one's wanting it to be bad. Right?
No.
Everyone
Exactly.
wants it, like, everyone's rooting for you. It's not like, oh, the Times gave this such a bad review, I can't wait to hate watch this, right? Like,
There's no sneering as you come
no,
in.
it's
They might be on the way out, but not on the way
But
in.
the whole vibe of the festival is that no one's going into it being like, oh, this is gonna be so bad, I can't wait. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's rooting for you.
And I think there's an
other artists alike. yeah.
understanding from the audience point of view. It is Fringe. We're
Yeah.
gonna see a cardboard painted piece
Right.
of
Yes,
whatever
the expectation
to be the queen,
is there.
and that's why this piece I think works so well at the Fringe, because the expectation is anything you want it to be.
Well, I think it succeeds, hand over fist, if I may say. I thought it was an absolutely terrific show, and it caught me right at the beginning. And bearing in mind, as I say, I did not know Stranger Things. I was aware of it, obviously,
Sure.
Right.
culturally. Who isn't? But I had never seen it, so I was slightly worried. Therefore, I thought, am I really going to understand the references? But it sort of didn't matter. I very quickly. I mean, I'm enough of a fan of science fiction and that your television. You know how television does that, the odd. So the moment I was in, 2 or 3 minutes in, I thought, I'm into this completely. The performances were beautiful. And I think, you may tell me that there were a lot of missed lines, but I didn't see them, in the sense that I thought every joke hit. I laughed all the way through. Even when I didn't understand the reference, I got the joke, I could see what was going on. And the performers, if I may say, were able to make everything leap from the stage. I was so delighted. And as I say, I think the score is magnificent. So I think your show is absolutely tip-top. I'm very happy to give it a 5-star review, if that's only yours to do. Because
Thank you.
I thought, and I can't say it enough, simply terrific. It carried the audience from the beginning to the end, and I left with unalloyed joy. So, but I've told you how much I loved it. What's the thing you'll individually, so it's a question to the three of you, what is the thing you'll individually carry home from this show when it's finally packed up for you? You know, what will your overriding memory or happy experience, or possibly unhappy experience, if it's a learning one, it's a valid one, isn't it? There's no right or wrong answers. But I will be judging heavily.
I think it was a great, accessible way for the students to grasp comedy. Like we said, argue the setup, argue the punchline, through a vehicle that they were all very well aware of. While they may not, a lot of them did get some of those musical references, but here's something we can sink our teeth into, and get our hands wet with, and have a fun time. Like, yes, we got to run this number again. Let's get that choreography right. Let's fix those voices. But there are worse shows to work on and run day after day after day. And every performance, every run through, there was something that made me laugh, something that made me smile, whether it's a new choice an actor made or something that I just didn't see in rehearsal because I'm looking at this and I never caught that. So I think what a way to bring it to Fringe and having a good experience, I think is so rewarding for the children.
It's a damn sight more fun than Spring Awakening.
Yes.
Unless it was done by drag queens.
Yes. That in parentheses.
The universality.
Please, somebody do that.
Oh, if it's not happened already, I should be very disappointed.
I think
Talk about, first of all, getting to perform for an international audience.
I was
You
about to
can't-
say.
I mean, that's not something you can ignore as part of this experience.
yes.
Yeah, it's okay to be selfish right here.
That's not
Right.
an experience that every new college student is going to have on their resume.
Exactly. I think even just seeing other Fringe shows, I felt very grateful in that way. And I fell in love with the art even more, you know.
Can I just say, that's a wonderful thing to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. Please carry on.
It gave me a sort of hope, especially with the way that technology is evolving and everything. I find that I just appreciate it very much.
When COVID came along, I remember a lot of people predicting that it was going to be the death of theatre and everything would go online.
I'm sure that's what they said about the plague, too.
Yes. I don't know about going online, but
Some prescient.
onto the washing line. But here we are in 2025, still enjoying real theatre, and in fact, I think this is the first year the Fringe has had no virtual shows. There's been residual virtual shows up until this year, and whilst virtual shows have their place, of course they do, and were a marvellous godsend during COVID, nothing beats being in a room with other humans.
Right. The empathy is stronger when you're in the room where it happens, to quote.
And in a place like Fringe, where everybody is just, it's more like a community, I think it's beautiful. And I'm very lucky that I had this opportunity. And in terms of the show, I mean, this was a great character to work with and portray, because she's just so crazy and like creative, I think. So I had a really fun time.
This may not mean anything to you, but I was reminded very much of the character of Rose Maybud from Ruddigore, which is by Gilbert and Sullivan, if you really want to go back, because she's playing a melodramatic mad woman, you know, which is a very big part of Victorian theatre. But because it's Gilbert, he subverts it completely and makes it funny. In fact, she, in that piece, is the one truly sincere character in a wealth of people who you're supposed to believe are sincere are insincere. Sorry, I don't want to over-egg this pudding, but I actually got that from your character. Obviously, she's comic and speech marks mad, but why wouldn't she be under the circumstances? But actually, there's good reasons for it.
Right.
You know, she's not unsympathetic as well, which often characters, you know, she's not an excluded, because madness can be used to exclude.
Yes.
And that was funny. That's what Gilbert was subverting, and I got something similar from this. That's a very odd parallel. But I sat there in the audience thinking, 1887. That's probably the oldest reference you'll get
There's
from
another 80s reference.
Very good, yes, just a century. And your take home.
This is the third time that we've brought students, and having done this trip as a student myself, like, you can't beat the first time you go to Fringe. So it's just watching my 31 kids fall in love with the city, like forget that they're going to perform because we were sightseeing, so being like, oh crap, we have a show today, like, and a rally, and just, you know, we can't help them backstage. We're sitting at the booth, and the fact that they've got a problem solver, they got to pick that thing up, or
You've got to do it.
right. And I think it gives them that sense of autonomy as a performer that a lot of times when you're in the kind of education system, you feel so comfy and safe, and you have that safety net where, you know, you're right here with all these other shows and producers and things.
Theatre meets reality here, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And just being able to witness their first experience in this world. Because Orlando does have a Fringe festival, and it's large by United States Fringe standards, but nothing compared to this. And so, so for to be in kind of that first foray into, you know, even when we had well-traveled students or something, no one's ever been to Fringe before.
No, and it is a thing like no other, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
and watching them kind of fall in love with the fringes of things, right? Like, it's not always about going to the commercial Broadway, West End goal of being like, oh wait, I want to maybe do a Fringe show when I'm in school, or, you know, when I'm in college, after like...
A black box goes a long way.
Absolutely, or a classroom in a university hall, right? Like, and I think that found kind of theater where it's, oh, there's someone busking on the street, but that's their show, or wait, there's a show in the bar, and just that transformation of any space could become theater space if you let it, and
it can be about anything as well.
Yes, and that it can still be just as impactful and meaningful or funny or memorable, good, bad, or ugly, right? And just the fact that I get to take them to see other Fringe shows, and it's not all about our performance either, and yeah, just that exposure was incomparable for me.
It's world broadening, isn't it? I think, and
Absolutely.
experience
I mean,
broadening.
literally, it was the first time I ever left the country when I came here, and as a 17-year-old, and so being able to watch that happen with my students that I spend so many hours with, and especially the ones, right, that I've had 4 years of this one, and I'm just sending her off, and so it was a nice little last hurrah with our 4 super seniors with us, and then what a great way for our younger ones that it's like we have that now for the next 2 or 3 years to talk about and reminisce over
and prepare for the next one.
Yes, I will.
Let's change of tone there. Yes.
Oof, we just got through this. No, we try to come every about 3 to 4 years, so at least our kids have 1, maybe 2 opportunities to go in their time, because the Fringe is an expensive trip to make, but so worth it. It's so worth it.
So, just to finish off this marvellous conversation, and can I say you've all been terrific and really, really interesting. I mean, you know, so honest and insightful. And it's so lovely to talk to people who are so in love with what they're doing and know what they're doing as well. That's so great. So this has been a lovely conversation. How can people find out more about you as an organisation, or you as individuals, as you want? You know, what are your socials, as the young people say?
We do have a website, www.dphstheater.com. That stands for our school, Dr. Phillips High School Theater.
It's not someone falling asleep on a typewriter.
No, that is our acronym. We also have an Instagram at DPHS Theater.
RE, not ER.
Correct, the art, not the building.
Yep.
And then we have a Facebook, Dr. Phillips High School Theater Magnet. So a lot of those just share the same content, upcoming productions, rehearsal shots. Our website is a little more comprehensive with about our program, about the history of our program, and things like that.
But hey, we are literally located across the street from Universal Studios Orlando, so if anyone's ever taking a vacation to Orlando, come.
Wave.
Yep, come check us out.
Yeah. We put on about 4 to 6 shows a year, and we could dive right in the next one when we get there. Yeah.
It sounds magnificent as a program and as an educational experience and a life-changing and life-affirming experience for everyone. But I do hope that when you come back next to Edinburgh with whatever show and in whatever form, you may be coming as part of the group, you may be coming with different people, please let me know, and I'll be delighted to talk to you again, because I don't think this conversation is quite finished.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I can only wish you great success for the rest of this run, both here that you finished in the United Kingdom, so back in Orlando, but with everything else you do. And I could it was a terrific show, and you're terrific people. So thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Musical talk. And there we are. That was Jason, Sarah, and Bianca from Dr. Phillips High School. The Jason there is Jason Whitehead, who's the Director of Theatre at the school, and Sarah is Sarah Clark, the Assistant Director of Theatre and Production Manager. And of course they were joined by Bianca, who was one of the cast and was terrific. And I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did in having it with them after seeing their tremendous production of Stranger Things. Stranger Things, the musical itself, has its own website, www.strangerthingsthemusical.com. And it is worth mentioning that actually, even in its frequently asked questions page, it says, do I need to watch Stranger Things before watching Stranger Things? And here's the answer. Stranger Things follows the story arc of Season 1 with some special nods to later seasons, including the most recent season. Whilst many jokes will be best appreciated after viewing the series, much of the show riffs off familiar tropes and icons from the 1980s, as well as musical theatre, leaving lots to enjoy for Stranger Things fans and newbies alike. And I can absolutely confirm that's the case. I've never seen an episode of Stranger Things, but I've now seen Stranger Things, and I loved it and understood it and genuinely appreciated it from beginning to end. As I hope you will have done for this episode, which of course is now drawing to a close. Not unlike, I believe, Stranger Things on television. So, do join us again next week or whenever here on Musical Talk, when we'll again be looking at the ever-expanding world of musical theatre. But until then, this has been Musical Talk. I'm Thos Ribbits. Pip pip. This episode of Musical Talk edited and presented by Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2026. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk and listen to past episodes, go along to our website www.musicaltalk.co.uk or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favourite podcasts. And follow us on all the usual social media networks. And we are now recording. So you're on the record. I'd say I'm looking at the little gauge. We'll just give it 1 minute for the bins to be empty because it's. But almost all my interviews in Edinburgh, they've got background music in the back. You're very lucky to find a quiet space because all quiet spaces have now got chairs in and someone standing at the front declaiming. So I'm just in a 20-person venue down at Riddle's Court. They call it Pickle, which I think is entirely appropriate for something with just 20 seats in it. The downside is, if you're on the front row, the stage is a block. And it's quite a high block. It's about the size of this table. Wow. And so I was on the front row. There's the actor.
Yes.
It's terrible. Right.
We're in a shipping crate yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're fun. The two of them sort of stapled together kind of thing. Yeah. But I think they've got an atmosphere, but they are
charm.
tight.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Nice.
And you should not be in one of those when the rain comes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Also, the Spiegel tents are very bad for that. I've been in many a show where the Edinburgh rain comes down and everyone knows it. Sounds like someone throwing gravel on the top of a greenhouse. Sorry.